Travel at low cost with points and miles. Credit card rewards bring the smiles. Many adventures, tales to be told. Make and save money, the world will unfold. Fight the war on happiness, pick up the gold. Hurdy Travel Podcast breaks a mold.
You're listening to the Hurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you make money, save money, and travel the world at next to no cost with credit card points, miles, benefits, and loyalty programs. Thanks for joining me for today's episode, Miles and Points with Hunter Threadgill. We talk about Hunter's experience with miles and points, his recent trips, tips for beginners, and we respond to recent bad takes from the Dave-Ramsey team. Visit meetup.com/Philly miles and points to RSVP for monthly Greater Philadelphia travel, credit miles and points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. The next meetups are October 19th and December 21st, 2025. Find a link in the show notes. For more content between podcast episodes, follow Hurdy Travel Podcast on Facebook and X. Follow Justin Vacula on Instagram. Subscribe to Hurdy Travel Podcast on YouTube for daily content, including travel videos, podcast clips, and posts. Find more information, including episode transcripts, at hurdytravel.com. On with today's episode, recorded October 2nd, 2025. Welcome to the show, Hunter, and happy October. Quarter 4, new things at the start of the month, lots happening.
Thank you, Justin. It's really good to be here on the Hurdy Travel Podcast. Really excited to talk with you.
Excellent. And for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Like Justin said, my name is Hunter Threadgill. My points and miles travel persona is the Professor of Points. I currently write at thepointsanalyst.com, and you can find me on Instagram at Professor of Points. I've been in the points and miles game since about 2015. Trying to take a very logical and scientific method to the way in which I use points and miles. I have my PhD in psychology from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, but the name Professor of Points is a play on that because once you get your PhD, you can become a professor, and I decided to play with the Professor of Points moniker.
Nice. And America indeed loves math. Professors teaching math, of course.
Absolutely. Definitely get a good eye roll when teaching the statistics parts of all those classes.
But now it actually comes into play in real life. Students wonder, am I ever really going to use math in real life? And we definitely use it a lot here in points and miles, calculating cents per point, trying to figure out if certain deals are worthwhile, adding benefits, lots going on.
Learned how to use Excel spreadsheets like no other. I could probably hang with Scott Kirby up at United, who's known for being in the spreadsheets. I could probably hang up with him.
Oh, cool. Yes, you'll have to figure out how many PQPs you need for status, how much card spend you need to do, how much you have to spend each month, and that's one of the math equations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that all goes in cell M1127.
And for those that don't know, that's PQP, the premier qualifying points for United status. And speaking of United, I flew United recently. We met in Chicago. I used some travel bank funds to get from Chicago to Las Vegas and a bit to get back to Vegas. So United came into play there. Tell us about our experience in Chicago, or more your experience.
So we're both board members of the Frequent Traveler Education Foundation. Our big consumer-facing event is the Frequent Traveler University. But as part of that, too, we also are the sponsors of the Frequent Traveler Awards, which are the largest awards ceremony celebrating loyalty programs and all that they do. This past year, we had over 3 million votes on looking at airlines, hotels, cruises, and car rentals all over the world, whether it be North America, EMEA, or Asia. What was super cool is Vietnam Airlines won an award, and they flew someone from Vietnam to accept it in Chicago. And with that, too, we also got to do some networking and hear some great lectures out at Loyalty Summit.
And EMEA, you're talking about the Middle East and Asia, right?
Yeah, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, actually.
Africa.
Hey, that's right.
All the acronyms, right?
That's right. Can't have enough within points and miles world.
And even MGM Rewards was there. So that was very interesting as Anil, I believe the VP with MGM International, was there speaking with Michael Traeger of Zorkfest.
Absolutely. Yeah, they both had an interesting conversation about the relationship between the commercial side of like casino elite programs and how consumers take in and actually interact with these elite programs. It was really fascinating to see this back and forth between the commercial side and the customer side. And I don't want to call it a battle because it was very cordial and but I think what was really important is it highlighted that both groups of people come at these programs from very unique perspectives.
Yeah, we heard from people from Citi, and they were talking about the Strata Elite card, recent releases. Someone was from Sixt SIXT, and they said that they might be coming out with a credit card in the next year. So that'd be interesting. And representatives from Alaska Airlines are now Atmos, and that's how they pronounced it, Atmos, not Atmos. They were talking about how they built the credit card, what they were looking for to add to. And I think it's been a resounding success in the Miles and Points community. Many positive reviews about the Atmos credit cards, especially the Summit card.
Yeah, I actually just hit the sign up bonus, just hit my Alaska for the summit, including that 25,000 point companion certificates. And because I signed up before it was released, I got the extra 5,000 miles. So in total, I'm going to get 130,000 miles worth of value out of it. So I'm really looking forward to trying to figure out where to use that 25,000 mile certificate. My wife's excited as well, knowing the value from those Alaska miles that we get.
Yeah, really powerful card and lots of benefits. And I think interesting the 3x points on foreign transactions and no foreign transaction fee. So I think that could be the go-to card for use overseas. And then many of the benefits like the Wi-Fi, the lounge access, and more, I think it was really appealing to the points and miles crowd. Even with the higher annual fee, the sign-up bonus was very big and the benefits are definitely there.
Absolutely. And what I like too is that you get a lot of value for your everyday spend there, particularly because you also get a one elite mile per $2 spent with the summit. It's actually caused me, I'm based in the DC area. I fly out of Reagan National, which you fly anywhere in the DC area. That's a hub for American Airlines. I currently have gold status with American. I usually hit platinum. It's caused me to really rethink my strategy moving forward, particularly because I'm able to get elite status quite easily with that card. Very much equivalent to the American Airlines, but I just find the Alaska program just to be so much more rewarding, particularly with all of the different milestones and the different levels, which I use for my travels.
Any other favorite cards that you have besides the new Atmos Summit card?
I still love the Venture X. Again, I live in DC, so I have a Capital One landing at Ronald Reagan National Airport and a Capital One lounge out at Dulles. So that $395, I absolutely get every dollar out of it and more. Those lounges I think are so good. I show up early. I think the Capital One landing has restaurant quality meals, which is super great. And as someone who actually volunteers at Ronald Reagan Airport on Wednesday nights, I take advantage of the half price food options at the Capital One landing at the little public facing fast serve restaurant they have. So that's probably a card I'm spending a lot on. I'm spending a lot on my Hyatt business card because I like to keep that globalist. My business travel has dropped, not significantly, but quite a bit. And so I'm now having to get more creative in how I'm able to actually keep my globalist status because I use that a lot, particularly because it's just my wife and I.
Yes, the Hyatt Globalist status I found to be very nice from spending on the Hyatt Personal and the Hyatt Business card. So you've been doing that as well, right?
Absolutely. And Hyatt really does fit my wife and I's travel patterns. So it truly is just a top notch loyalty program to really go after globalists with.
Yes, a lot of nice benefits. And I think consistency across the hotel brands. I often hear a lot of negative feedback about Marriott and inconsistent benefits, and even Hilton recently. Sometimes you're getting a comp breakfast, sometimes it's only a $10 dining credit. When I was in Chicago, it was a pretty lame benefit. It was, oh, you could use a $10 credit in our kitchen area. And the pack of hummus with crackers was like $8. And they didn't even have the breakfast at all.
Really? No breakfast at all?
No breakfast at all unless you wanted to pay for it. and that was in a restaurant, but I don't even believe it was their restaurant.
Oh man, that's pretty wild in a city like Chicago, where obviously you can go to a Dunkin' or a Panera or something and get something, but it's just easy to have that restaurant there in the hotel. And
Oh, yes, definitely. We went to Panera together. It was funny because we were with Tommy Danielson and he said something like, "Oh, where do you suggest going? I'll get you guys lunch." And I said, "Yeah, let's go to Panera. It's just a short walk." And we got there. He said, "We came all the way here just to save me some money on coffee." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I have the unlimited sip club."
might as well. Those free perks.
Yes, sip club. Yes, Panera, if you want to sponsor the podcast, let us know.
They love their sip club. I always see deals for it. They really are pushing it. And I've used it before when I lived like 2 blocks from a Panera, and
Oh, nice.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think there was a Newegg gift card deal. It was 20% off Panera gift card in 3 months of Sip Club. So that was a really cool one that came about.
Oh, that's a great deal.
And American Express was putting it out as part of a promotion in the past. And when they launched it, there was like 3 months for $1.99 or some similar thing like that. So it keeps coming back, people dipping in and out. But I'm in for the annual membership. I pay the annual fee for $80 a year because I have a really local one and I see many on the go. So it's just paying attention to some programs and trying to find value. And I think that's really what we're doing here in Miles and Points rather than just paying full price cash for travel. We're getting these different credit cards, using these different loyalty programs to our advantage.
And we get to use it as a way that helps us travel in a bit more style. I'd happily pay for an economy ticket if I didn't have points and miles because I still love to travel. But it's really nice when you walk onto that airplane and you turn left and you get that lie flat seat and get to sleep while you're flying overnight over the Atlantic Ocean. Can't beat that.
Yeah, so not only saving money on travel, but better accommodations, better experience.
And that allows you to hit the ground running, which is really what's important is because you get to go experience all of these new places that you've never been before, different cultures. And when you're a zombie for that first day, you just lose a day to really get to experience it like you might want to.
I've been seeing a lot of Facebook memes or images about, oh, wake up at 6 o'clock, leave home at 7, be at the airport at 8, board at 8:30, and fly with some kind of like flight math or timetable. And I found this to be quite weird because when I get to the airport, I'm almost always getting there for the airport lounge. As I've said before, that's often starting the vacation for me.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite lounges is actually the Polaris Lounge at Dulles. You walk in the United terminal is still the temporary terminal from the 80s. I guess 40 years is temporary, but their space is absolutely gorgeous inside that lounge, and the meal is pretty good too, and so it really just allows you to just relax before you hop on that long flight and fly overnight.
Recently, I went to the Chase Sapphire Lounge in Philadelphia. That's been great. I was there shortly after it opened in April, I believe. I have a video on my YouTube channel. People can check out if they haven't been there. There's even an arcade inside the lounge. The place is huge compared to Centurion Lounge in Philly that was quite crowded, or past podcast guest Justin Walter called the Delta Sky Club at Philadelphia the Delta Sky Closet because it was a smaller place. But the Chase Lounge is quite spacious. And I also went to the AA Flagship Lounge, the American Airlines Flagship Lounge, because now I have Privilege Club Gold status from the Qatar or Qatar cardless credit card. So I was able to use the lounge there as well. So instead of spending on expensive airport food or just having something small at home, I can go to the airport, have the peace of mind of being there early, hanging out. And if there happens to be a delay, I'm not sitting in the boarding area, I'm sitting in the lounge. So complimentary drinks, food, and a good experience.
I was at the Flagship Lounge in Miami, and they were serving prime rib sliced directly in front of you on a proper carving board, so can't beat that.
So the answer to everything is more credit cards, more cards for more lounge access.
Absolutely. And flying up front more often.
And how did you get involved with all of this? How did you get started?
So back when I was in grad school, I had the opportunity to go to China a few times, and that was back when American Airlines was awarding elite miles still for distance traveled. So that's 12,000 miles round trip, and I was going 2 to 3 times a year. And so that really got me starting to look into points and miles and really trying to figure out how I can maximize them and travel more. I then met my now wife, who I was living in Alabama at the time, about an hour outside of Birmingham in Tuscaloosa, and she was living in Charlotte, and that's a direct flight on American Airlines, and they charge $400 for a round trip flight over one weekend. I made $15,000 a year, so $400 was not going to cut it. Started looking around some more, learned some manufacturing spending techniques, and I can't quit the hobby. I got to have more points and miles.
So you started pretty small, and then over time you found some creative spending or advanced techniques to spend even more to get more points, more sign-up bonuses and benefits.
Absolutely. At one point, I was spending $1 million a year,
Oh,
just
wow.
advanced spending techniques. I couldn't sign up for cards fast enough to get all those sign up bonuses. And I really learned how to scale my actual spending and figured out using my Excel spreadsheets how to on my cost per point to very little and really get an outsized value to be able to travel and see my wife.
Nice. And many business owners, I think there's quite an appeal because if they already are spending a lot of money or even a somewhat decent amount of money, they can definitely sign up for new cards, shift their spend, put their spend on different cards, and then also get some higher category returns. Is I think it was a few months ago, I went to a networking event with some real estate people, and one guy was talking about, oh, I put all of my spend on an Amex Business Gold. And I was explaining that you're only getting like 1x on most of your spend. You're paying an annual fee and not really getting much in return for it. So it's definitely helping to have multiple cards to maximize and optimize.
Absolutely. I remember when the Blue Business Plus card came out and I had found a 15,000 point sign up bonus. Maxed that card out so quickly. I was so proud of getting that 15,000 points because it didn't have a sign up bonus at the time, but getting those 2 points per dollar spent on the first $50,000 in spend for each year. It was really nice to see those 100,000 points drop into my American Express account.
And it's really gotten much better since then, as it was like 2 years ago, American Express was sending out a lot of these invitations, expand your relationship, sign up for another business platinum card, another business gold card. And these were coming in so hot and heavy that I was getting multiple offers, but it's 90 days in between signing up for the same card or the same product with them. So some of the offers ended up expiring. I think it was one time where I had 5 business platinums at the same time, some high annual fees, but it made sense because the sign up bonuses were so big, like 100K points, definitely offsetting. I think at the time it was something like a 595 or 695 annual fee, getting all the benefits as well.
Absolutely. Earlier this year, I picked up 3 business flat cards at 200,000 points per sign up bonus, which even if I have to pay another annual fee because it was a Biz Gold to Biz Plat upgrade, it's well worth it for that 200,000 American Express points, which even cashed out if I had the Charles Schwab card would be
Another America Loves Math moment.
like 22,000 or $2,200. Absolutely
Yeah.
makes sense for just that one sign up bonus.
Yes, we're generally in it for the long game. It's nice to keep cards and get ongoing benefits, but some of them, the annual fee is so high. And some people get scared about that, I think, new to miles and points. But I tell people that you're not married to the annual fee, that you might only have the card for the first year, and then you can evaluate in year 2 and you can product change, downgrade, or even cancel the card. How does that go for you and some of the higher annual fee cards?
So right now I have 5, maybe 6 premium annual fee cards. With the recent platinum, now I have 7 premium cards, and with the recent changes to the platinum cards that being up at $895 a year, and I've got 3 platinums. That's almost $2,700. It's definitely going to be a choice of downgrading some of them or just getting rid of them outright when the time comes, because as much as I love my perks in the card, $2,700 even for all those perks is a bit of a stretch for me at that point.
Yes, and we might get invitations to open yet another one. So if we close one, we've had it for a year or a little bit more than a year, then we could just get the benefits on that other card and just keep it rolling.
Absolutely. And fingers crossed, when you log into your Amex account, the pop-up comes up that says, upgrade your card or get another.
Ooh, yes, I've gone from personal gold to personal platinum. I've gone from business gold to business platinum. So occasionally these things happen.
Yes, absolutely. And right now I keep getting get another Blue Business Plus card popping up.
Nice. So lots of things to look forward to. And earlier you mentioned about Frequent Traveler Education Foundation and Frequent Traveler University. We've been working a lot behind the scenes towards the future, some upcoming events, some changes, some special announcements. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of what's to come before the announcements are finalized?
Yeah, so we are working really hard to get the benefits, get some great benefits for someone buying a premium membership and get some really good seminars, some good networking, and a really awesome event coming up in May back in Dallas at our flagship in-person event in Dallas at FTU. Right now, we're working on getting the benefits up and running for the premium membership because not only do you get the discount for the in-person events, but we're also working with different brands to offer something really great. Just for example, you get a 30% discount with card pointers. We get a free month of mentoring from Big Ben's Deal. Those are both confirmed. We have some other confirmed that I'm not going to talk about right now, as well as some really awesome brands that we're interacting with and trying to get those deals closed so that way we can offer a ton of value for our members. Additionally, we're relaunching our virtual seminars. I've been working on lining up really great speakers, including classic ones that I love, like Justin with Hurdy Gurdy, Michael Traeger with Zorgfest, but also some ones who have really been outside the FTU universe and really expanding and getting people who are bringing in more and more people into Points and Miles through alternative media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, getting them involved in what we believe to be the premier education group for those who are interested in learning more about Points and Miles.
Very on brand for Professor of Points.
If there's one thing that I do miss about being in the classroom is just the ability to help people learn new things about travel and see their eyes light up when they learn something they never learned before, which I think is just it's a really great feeling for me and one that I feel super motivated to really try and get people really involved and excited about what they're learning.
Nice. And that's Ben's Big Deal. I think you said Big Ben's Deal. That would be like the clock tower.
Ben has the ability to watch over and make sure we're on the wrong path. So, Ben's Big Deal, Big Ben's Deal. I mean, it's all leading to the right way to go. So fully support it.
LB's Big Boy, the old restaurant.
Oh yeah, big boy. Yeah.
A relic of the past.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, very good. We'll take a quick break for some announcements and then come back. If you're enjoying today's episode, don't forget Zorkfest 2025 is coming up in Las Vegas, December 5th through the 7th at M Resort Casino Hotel. Zorkfest combines miles, points, and gambling content all in one weekend. I'll be there speaking and connecting with podcast listeners. Buy your ticket at zorkfest.travelzork.com. I'll also be speaking at Chicago Seminars, Hyatt Regency O'Hare, November 7th through the 9th, 2025. Use the promo code HurdyGurdy when buying a ticket to support me. Also join me October 24th through the 26th for Chicago Seminars Holiday Inn, Chicago Oakbrook. Use promo code I20 for $20 off tickets. This episode is also supported by Card Pointers. If you have multiple credit cards like me, Card Pointers helps you automatically activate bank offers and knows which card to use for maximum rewards. Card Pointer saves me time and money. Use my link, cardpointers.com/hurdygurdytravel for a discount on annual and lifetime plans. This week, I was shopping for gift cards, Best Buy online, and I saw a $25 off. 25 off of $250, which was quite nice. So Card Pointers activating that offer, bringing it to my attention. Card Pointers continuing to pay for itself. I also host monthly travel Points and Miles meetups in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. Our next meetups are October 19th through the 21st, 2025. The last one was very successful. We had about 15 people, so thanks podcast listeners and others for attending. We had a small room that had 3 tables, and there was like a lineup of chairs in the back. So next time we're going to need another table. We expected 10, but we got 15 or maybe even more. If you're local or want to make the trip, it's a fun, casual way to talk point strategies, meet like-minded travelers, and share ideas. RSVP at meetup.com/Philly, miles and points. And we're back here with Hunter Threadgill, Professor of Points. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Justin. Really enjoying our conversation.
All right. And just remind listeners where they can find you online.
So I'm currently a writer for The Points Analyst at thepointsanalyst.com, and you can also find me on Instagram at Professor of Points.
All right. Very good. And let's talk about some of your recent trips redeeming miles and points.
So my last big one, so my company is based in the UK, my day job, and they flew us out to Athens, which was super great. And they actually hosted the trip at the Grand Hyatt Athens, which was a super great hotel. I also extended my trip for an extra night, which was really great. Got upgraded to a suite as a part of my globalist status. And one thing that is super beautiful about that hotel is that the rooftop pool has a beautiful view of the Acropolis at night. And we've seen the Acropolis
Oh,
light
nice.
for everything that it is. And it's just an absolutely beautiful view. And then on my way back, instead of routing an economy through London, about 1 week before my return flight was supposed to be, I found first class award space on the A380 out of London Heathrow, flying via British Airways, which was super fun. I only paid $400 in fees. It really originally was $600, but because I hold the British Airways Chase Visa card, I get a $200 rebate, which I absolutely put to use given how much I fly through London. So it's definitely a keeper card for me, gain money out of it. And I was able to enjoy not just the first class lounge at London Heathrow, but the Concorde room, which was absolutely gorgeous and really got me thinking about the Concorde that used to fly. Never got to fly it, but I still have tons of respect for it. And then flying in first class on the A380, one of the last remaining true first class products in the world.
Nice. Your out-of-pocket cost was very low for this, and you got to have a great experience as well.
Absolutely. I paid $400 total for that one-way flight, which flying through Heathrow with those crazy government fees, I was more than happy to pay to get to fly that flight.
And hotel covered, incidentals maybe being some small expenses, but overall some massive savings.
Oh, absolutely. I probably spent, not including the fees on my award flights, maybe spent $300 on that whole trip, which was an absolute blessing to get to go and experience Athens, Greece.
Nice. And any other favorite trips, especially international?
My wife and I, we got married in 2019, and I really enjoyed our honeymoon at the Renaissance Aruba, which is famous for the Flamingo Island in the Marriott brand, which was a really interesting way because I got that entire trip, including airfare, for free. Not even Didn't even really have to use points and miles, which is another story for another day. But after COVID, we decided to take a massive trip with points and miles I'd collected during the COVID years. And we flew Qatar Airways from Washington, D.C. to the Maldives, stayed at the Park Hyatt Maldives for a week, then flew the Etihad through Abu Dhabi, all business class, to Rome, spent a couple of days using small luxury hotels of the world when it was with Hyatt at the time, and then flew Austrian Airlines through Vienna, all in business class, including an overnight at the Park Hyatt Vienna. One of the absolute best the absolute best trip of my life. I could not be happier, and probably got well over $50,000 worth of value out of that trip, all on points and miles.
Nice. I hear a lot of, oh, we have to save up for a honeymoon, or people go on a honeymoon and then they're broke when they get back. But in this case, it's definitely not the case.
The airfare, the hotels were all paid with points and miles, and we were able to go on tours. We were able to eat amazing meals, get souvenirs, have to pay that pesky airport transfer fee out of
The seaplane, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that was always super interesting. For the Park Hyatt Maldives, you fly Trans-Maldivian Airways, and it's charged to the hotel. And I guess you could sign up for the Trans-Maldivian Airways loyalty program, but because it's charged to the hotel, you actually get Hyatt points on that spend for that airfare.
Some kind of rebate.
Yeah, so because I paid with my Hyatt card, I ended up getting 13 points per dollar spent, or excuse me, 11 points per dollar spent because I have my globalist status and the 4X back on my Hyatt card.
All right, nice. Let's move on to responding to some critics. It's interesting. I see a lot of these posts on Facebook again. perhaps because I post about personal finance, credit cards, and more. And through many sources come Dave Ramsey and his co-hosts. This one was interesting from George Kamel, Kamel. It seems like he's trying to make you feel guilty about miles and points. So when the base arguments fail, when what they're saying really doesn't make sense, it's an appeal to emotion, it's trying to shame you. They're using these shaming tactics here. This is what he says. So while you're flexing that free flight, someone else is drowning in debt to fund it. They convinced you're winning so you wouldn't notice you're being used. And that, friends, is how they afford to sponsor the Taylor Swift tour while many can't afford a ticket.
That is just a very interesting argument to me, because here's the thing. Credit cards were built so that way you could purchase items when you didn't have the cash on. Sometimes you need to purchase a meal and you might not have cash. You might be traveling for work. And as part of that way of paying for that, they make money in one of two ways. One, on interest, which you definitely don't want to pay. I think I've accidentally paid like $10 on interest once on a card. Out of all my years, I think I've only paid interest once, and it was a complete accident. It was $10. But then also on interchange fees. This is the fee that a vendor will pay to pay for access to actually accept that card. And that's what's paying for our points and miles. It's not the interest. The interest is just gravy for the banks. What pays for our points and miles are those interchange fees. Let's say they charge 3% interchange fee and they rebate back 2% to us. It is what it is. I just think it's wild to assume because I fly for free, it's because of someone else making the choice to go into debt.
And just because others are not making great financial decisions, does that mean that we should just sit home and not take these flights? Because we can use credit responsibly, they can't. So therefore, we just shouldn't engage at all, cancel everything, pay full price for travel. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either, because I want to see the world and I'm responsible with my credit. And so I'm responsible with my finances. I have the means. I've been blessed with having a great paying job where I don't have to worry about going into debt. I'm just going to take that rebate and I'm going to run with it. I don't spend more than if I spent everything in cash. It's just I'm getting something back in return for what I'm going to spend already.
Yes, it's this constant thing they take is that because some people misuse something that it's all bad. And I wonder how far they would extend that. Some people overeat at buffets. So Justin, you should never go to a buffet because some people eat too much and maybe have some eating problems. Or some people drink alcohol too much and become violent. So you should never even drink a glass of wine. I don't think they're going to apply that kind of logic or reasoning globally.
I don't think there's any reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because it's too much of anything can be bad. You could drink too much milk and get sick, but that doesn't mean milk is bad for you.
I'm a fan of birds, and we both take joy in the birds aren't real, like parody movement. And some people might be bird watchers, maybe spend too much time bird watching, and that could be a bad thing. But because some people watch birds too much, or maybe they're obsessed, people like that word obsessed, maybe that just because some people do something too much doesn't mean that we can't have a hobby, be responsible, and be disciplined.
Yeah, I think it's all about just not going too hard into something where it consumes you in a negative way.
He brings Taylor Swift into it, which is funny. This is how they afford to sponsor the Taylor Swift tour. So is that really Taylor Swift is completely funded by people paying credit card interest? I can't imagine that to be true.
I'm not someone with a massive following, but I don't think insulting Taylor Swift is the way to increase your following with people.
And many people in Miles and Points, perhaps ironically, flew international to see Taylor Swift because they recognized that the price of tickets in the US were quite high. I've had podcast guests on before. Oh, I flew to Europe to see Taylor Swift and the tickets were a lot cheaper.
I think Ariana flew out to Singapore to see Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and on Miles and Points too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it makes you do that. I flew to London to see one of my favorite bands. Small band based in the US. They played in a concert hall that held like 2,000, 2,500, but I wouldn't have traded it for the world.
Nice. So do you feel manipulated or used? He says they convinced you you're winning so you wouldn't notice you're being used.
But it doesn't matter whether you use cash or credit cards. It's the budget that's going to cause you to get financially further along with your investments and things like that. And I think I am winning because I use a budget very similar to what Dave Ramsey preaches. But I also use the credit card to get all the travel points and miles and have the time of my life flying to the Maldives.
And not overspending, and you're paying the balances. You're not going into debt. You're not paying massive interest. It's just not the case. But they make it to seem that's the fate for everyone.
No, it's definitely not the fate for everyone. And honestly, it's not even the fate for most people, in my opinion. Pretty much most people that I know are responsible with their credit because they realize that if you're not responsible, it's going to cost you a lot more in the long run. What's interesting too is if you actually look at credit card usage amongst younger generations, while there are some who are funding their lifestyles on the debt of a credit card, you actually find that savings are much higher amongst young people, including having less credit card debt than older generations did at back when they were younger.
All right, we'll move on to the second one. And it was a positive YouTube comment recently that said, your specialty is debunking the points and miles misconceptions. So let's continue with that. This one is from Jade Warshaw, Warshaw, who's one of the Dave Ramsey hosts. She says, it takes around 6 to 8 months for your credit score to disappear once you pay off your final debt. This means the score is 0 or becomes indeterminable. And remember, a 0 credit score is just as good as a high credit score. In fact, it's better because it doesn't require debt. So, is a 0 credit score better than an 800 credit score?
I've never understood this about Dave Ramsey, his obsession with having a 0 credit score. So first of all, he just had his house in Nashville go on the market. Actually, not just, it was a couple years ago. It went on the market for $15 million. I think it was 15 million. It was over $10 million.
It was a mansion,
It
at
was
least a mansion, yes.
Oh, and it's like, did you really buy that without a mortgage? And who can afford a house these days without a mortgage?
He'll talk on his show that you can go into what he calls manual underwriting. And it seems like that's quite a laborious process. But even if you just use the credit responsibly and got it, what's the problem with that? But again, he's just going to argue that everybody's irresponsible with credit, which isn't true.
It's just wild to me that I guess that's one way to look at the world, but I just know most people aren't able to do things that they want to without taking on like a mortgage. Most people won't ever be able to pay for a house in cash. And there is manual underwriting. It's a lot more difficult, requires a lot more paperwork. If you can have a credit score that's over 800 and it literally costs you nothing, why wouldn't you just make it easier for yourself and have that credit score?
And she's saying here that the 0 credit score doesn't require debt. And they use that quite loosely. They are going into debt. But if I'm making charges on a card, treating it like a debit card, and then I'm just paying it off, I could even do it every week, every other week. I'm not going into debt unless your definition is so loose. Oh, you owed the money for a week. You were in debt, Justin. I think it's a real bad mischaracterization from them.
I think if you look at like the technical definition of debt, then yes. But the practical definition of debt, it's not debt. Technically, it is a debt because you do owe it to the credit card company. But practically speaking, if it's no different than you would pay cash, you just get some points back in the process. That's not a debt, practically speaking. And what matters is the practical.
Yes, I can go to a dentist appointment and they'll say, oh, look, we'll do the first part of a procedure today, come back in 3 weeks, and then I'm going to have to pay them for the second part of the procedure. Am I in debt? Is that how loose they're going to make the definition? Is that really different than what we're doing with credit cards?
I would argue that if you had to pay for the entire procedure up front and you had to go back in 3 weeks, the dentist is in debt to you.
Oh.
You gave them money and they haven't given you what you paid for. They have a debt to you. But practically speaking, you have your appointment set for 3 weeks away. It's all paid for and you're going to go get it finished, and they know that. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Be practical. Don't try and people have lives to live. And if we're dealing in theoreticals and not what's practically helpful for people, it doesn't help anyone.
Yeah. So once again, some bad takes from the Ramsey crowd, and some people get quite upset about this. And there were some people sending messages recently being quite nasty. Some people posting, oh, Are you paid off by the financial companies to say these things? As I wish. I've been promoting First National Bank of Omaha for quite a while and the MGM credit cards, but I don't get any affiliate money. This is about having conversations, having fun, teaching other people how to do this to some extent. And if I do make some money off of this, oh no, he's bad because he made some money. Is this very dissimilar to working a traditional job? This is just something I'm doing on my own terms, but they're not addressing the arguments like, oh, you're just paid off by the banks, even though it's not true.
Yeah, I haven't seen a dime from a bank other than, I haven't seen a dime from a bank in affiliate marketing. Not really my thing.
All right, very good. We'll move on to a different topic. Any upcoming trips?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I'm excited to put my Atmos Summit card to use. I'm going to Montreal. Like 2 years ago, I think there was a promotion between Hyatt and Etihad where if you connected your accounts, they dropped like 500 points in your Etihad miles in your Etihad account for every trip that you booked on Hyatt. Opened up my Etihad account, I had 6,000 miles, so I was able to get a one-way trip to Montreal using my Etihad miles that I got from Hyatt. So I'm really excited for that and exploring Old Town Montreal, staying at the Hyatt Centric. And then additionally, in February, my wife and I are going to go check out the new all-inclusive Secrets Resort in St. Lucia, a part of the World of Hyatt program. Able to get 5 nights for 145,000 points, which nights were going for $600 a night, and
Oh,
also
wow.
all my meals and drinks. And as a globalist, I get access to the preferred bar, which has top shelf liquor, which that's what, $15 a pop if you're getting it at a normal resort.
Yeah, nice. I know that people were a fan of the Secrets properties like the Mocha or Mocha. I have a hard time with the pronunciations, but I've heard a lot of positive things about the Secrets properties.
I don't think anyone knows how to say that name. It's the impressions.
It's definitely not Mochi, the ice cream. It's definitely not that one.
Oh man, Moxie, not Moxie, because that's like
Oh
the
no, that's a Hilton, I think. Yeah.
Marriott,
Oh, Marriott.
Marriott.
Crew and Radisson Blue was in there. All these funny names.
Oh yeah. But I've heard great things about it. Been reading online about there's some service issues right now, but it's more related to it just being a new resort as opposed to just general poor service. So I'm looking forward to see what they have to have for us when we take our trip up there in Q1.
It's Moxche, and there's a symbol over the E. So maybe people in the comments could have the pronunciation there.
Mox
Playa del Carmen.
Moxcha?
Oh,
I don't know.
matcha.
Matcha, yeah, like the green drink.
All right. Good. Anything else you'd like to add as we're getting towards the end? Wow, really quickly went by more than 40 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to see where points and miles are going. I think we're seeing some really cool things coming from programs. A lot of times we like to say the sky is falling because we don't get as much value as we used to, but I think it's just providing new and unique ways to use our points and miles to get to places that were never accessible to us. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens over the next year or two within the points and miles space.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've come away with after taking all these cruises, especially. I would never pay $2,000, $3,000 to go on these cruises, but what a cool experience it was to just pay taxes, fees, and Wi-Fi on many of these, and sometimes not even having to pay the Wi-Fi. So some really cool experiences, meeting people, seeing the world. There was the Norway Fjord cruise recently that was really cool. Alaska and the glaciers. Lots happening.
That sounds amazing.
And I'm looking forward to see what American Express does towards the end of the year because they recently refreshed these platinum cards. So maybe they'll give some more upgrade offers to upgrade existing cards, the personal gold to the personal platinum.
And maybe some big ol' retention bonuses for those who say, I don't know about $900, but maybe.
Oh, yeah. And for those that aren't familiar, can you explain that, retention bonuses?
Yeah, if you have a card that you do plan on keeping, or there's a card you're on the fence about keeping, give them a call and see if they'll give you a retention bonus. Spend $3,000 over the next 3 months and get 30,000 points. Or I've seen high as 50 to 75,000 bonus points to get you to keep the card open and start spending on it again. And it's really a cost benefit analysis of, given that I'm going to pay the fee again, if I can get a retention offer to keep it open and the credits make sense, it then becomes more sensible to actually keep the card open as opposed to closing it because they want to give you more points and miles.
Yep. So for beginners, that's a good tip that You can call in, say you're considering canceling because of the annual fee, and if you can mention that the annual fee even went up and, oh, I won't use this or that benefit, then maybe they'd throw you a bone and give you some kind of rebate or even a discount. And in the past, I've even had them say, oh, we'll completely waive the annual fee. We'll give you a statement credit for it. So I haven't heard that recently, but never know with these numbers going up.
I've seen Citi do it to me a couple of times. I think I had a old Citi Business American Airlines card that I had open for 4 years, and I think I only paid the fee the first year because they kept keeping it open, giving me
Nice.
my annual feedback.
All right. And one more time, if you could tell listeners where they can find you online.
My name is Hunter. I'm the professor of points. You can find me writing over at thepointsanalyst.com, and you can find me on Instagram at professor of points, all one word.
All right. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
All right. And thanks everyone for listening. Stay tuned for future episodes. For more content between podcasts, follow Hurdy Travel Podcast on Facebook and X. Follow Justin Vacula, Vacula, on Instagram. And subscribe YouTube for daily content, including travel videos, podcast clips, and posts. That's Hurdy Travel Podcast on YouTube. For more information, including select episode transcripts, hurdygurdytravel.com. Search Hurdy Travel on subscribestar.com or become a channel member on YouTube to support my efforts starting at the $5 a month tip jar level. Receive special perks at higher subscriber levels, including one-on-one private discussions about card strategy, creative credit card spending, and asking podcast guests, like Hunter, your questions. The website udio.com created the podcast intro and outro music. It's not me singing. AI features of the website Descript, Descript, helped me edit and improve audio quality. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Travel at low cost with points and miles. Credit card rewards bring the smiles. Many adventures, tales to be told. Make and save money, the world will unfold. Fight the war on happiness, pick up the gold. The Gurdy Travel Podcast breaks the mold.